Hello everyone, my name is Sean Hester with Revisto, and today we are going to talk about how to get models and construction documents into your Revisto project. Specifically, we're looking at a coordination workflow export process. We get this question quite a bit, and there's a lot of different ways to bring information into Revisto, but there is definitely a preferred workflow when we are talking about coordination. And the reason why that is because the models coming from the trades are going to be happening a lot more frequently than the sheets are going to be updated from any drawing issuances that are taking place within the project. So what we like to talk about is the separation between where the information is coming from. Most importantly, talking about 3D and Clash information coming from Navisworks. We're going to use Navisworks to federate the models. We're going to use Navisworks to pull in the clash detection issues into your Revisto project. The 2D information we're going to pull in from Revit. We're going to possibly overwrite that with PDFs, or even the docs integration for those other CDE locations that you're using to store those 2D documents. But again, the separation is going to be 3D and Clash is coming from Navisworks. 2D information is going to most likely be coming from Revit, but we can also bring that information in from PDFs or even AutoCAD. So the documentation that we have here right now is kind of showing that breakdown and where the information is coming from. Now I would like to go in and kind of walk through that export process in the actual authoring tools and Navisworks themselves. Again, we are going to pull in that 2D information coming from Revit. So essentially, when we go into export in Revisto, we are going to uncheck the 3D model information coming out of Revit, and we are going to make sure that our sheets are going to be selected here. And then as always, the ability to go through and select the sheets that you want. If you're using a host model or using one particular model to do all your exporting, you can always click on our export sheets from linked files. That allows you to pull in those additional sheets from those other linked Revit models coming into the single Revit model that we're in, right? Select as many of those sheets as you want within the project. And again, that's going to be unselecting 3D, making sure that export sheets is selected, and making sure that your positioning is okay along with which file you're linked to. From there, we can click that export button. Revisto is going to go through and export those sheets for me. Okay, next we are going to export that 3D information from our Navisworks model. And again, the reason why we're making this separation is because the Navisworks model with all of our virtual prototypes coming from our trade partners are going to be updating much more frequently than the design documents are. Knowing that we're doing clash detection here in Revisto, we can get their information, refresh those models, run clash detection, and then push those models into Revisto. So again, we're going to click on that export to Revisto in our ribbon plugin up here at the top. Now Navisworks obviously can only push 3D information. So what we're going to do is make sure we have those levels checked. We're going to have the materials checked. If you want to bring in your viewpoints, you can always bring in those viewpoints. I'm going to select my right viewpoint that I am actually going to use for that export process. I typically uncheck this because I like to create the viewpoints on the Revisto side. And then if you're doing any appearance profiler work within your project, make sure you uncheck this button. Otherwise, those colors of the geometry will revert back to the rendered materials in your authoring tool. If we're bringing any point cloud information in, you can do that from here as well. And then if we've done any changes, transforming changes to any models within the project, we will want to check this button right here for that alternative transform algorithm. If we have not moved any models and transformed them within Navisworks, we don't need to have that unchecked. Make sure we have the correct project length, and then we're going to hit that export button. Now over on the Revizto side, we can see we have our 3D model information, we have our 2D sheet information as it was brought into the project here, and we can also see in our scenes and scheduler which models were being used for that export process. So because we have the two different locations on where this information is coming from, I have my Navisworks model bringing in the 3D, and then I have the Revit model bringing in my 2D information. Thank you very much for joining me today.